For whatever reason, you guys seem to really enjoy the videos that are more sit down, chit chat, explaining my study methods and just kind of my mindsets and what helped me get through school and things that hopefully will help you get through school as well. So I don't understand why these are your favorite videos, but I shall give what I can. So this is technically a part 2 of my How to Study When You Don't Want to video, but I wanted to focus a little bit more on mindset shifts, and you're gonna notice that a lot of my approaches tend to be mindsets, and I think that that's because it's key. I mean, you can do as many flashcards and different study methods as you want, but if you're not all there mentally and really set on being the most productive and efficient studier possible, then what are you even doing? Let's get into some tricks and tips that you can do to study even on the days where you feel like it's the last thing that you want to do. One of the first things that I wanted to talk about, it's something that I embarrassingly already do. It's kind of the idea of pretending like it already happened. So when I'm studying for my MCAT, for example, I am studying to become a physician. I am studying to try to do as well as I can on this entrance exam so that I can become a doctor. So there's no better way to studying. There is no better way to study than to pretend like I am already a doctor. I'm reading these passages and answering these questions because it's for a patient, and it is crucial for me to consult this patient or to follow up on this patient with this information or this knowledge that I'm learning. Even though I'm not really a doctor yet, it's really important to feel like what you're studying is equally as important as if you're already in that role. So I feel like one of the hardest things to get into is actually caring about the material you're learning about. And that is because we're not in the role yet. So we have this idea of, you know what, I'll really care about learning electron configuration when the time comes, or about the kidney when I'm a doctor, when I'm actually applying it to patients. But why not pretend like that's already the case? Why not study and read your law book like you're doing research for a current case? Why not study physics like you're already, involved in an engineering project if that's what you want to do? If you don't want to become a physician, if you don't want to become a lawyer, read it like a graduate. Okay, read it like somebody that's done with it. Like, this is just a review. This is the last thing I need to finish, even if it's not. So keep that in mind. Another thing that I wanted to mention is that in general, learning is curiosity-based. I mean, it's interesting because it has to be. Your neurons are literally absorbing all of this information and firing and promoting your ability to recognize and recall information. And it's something so nice to actually be interested in what you're learning. But if that's not the case for you, just connect it to something you are interested in. If you're learning about the renal system, or if you're learning about algebra and you're like, dude, I don't care about the kidneys, I don't care about algebra, I'm never gonna use this again, that's completely fine. So what is your job that you want to do? If you don't want a job, great. How are you going to apply this? Maybe you're gonna use algebra a certain way. Maybe you have to calculate, the radius of a certain artery before you put it in a patient's leg. Maybe you have to use the physics equations that you use to calculate how hard somebody landed on the ground if you're a forensic specialist. Maybe you can use algebra to calculate how much content you need to put out to get a certain amount of subscribers in a year. So whatever your interest may be, just intertwine it because it's going to feel like it's more applicable. And when things apply to you, you're more inclined to care. The next thing that I wanted to talk about is something I think a little controversial, and it's stop feeling bad about yourself. You're limiting your growth because you can't say, I'm not in an economically decent position right now, I'm never going to be. That is such a limiting mindset to have. And of course, there are different scenarios. People have very different backgrounds. Some people are going to school with holes in their uniforms. Some people are going to school because their parents are working 24/7 to put them through school. And I think it's really important to think, what are you going to do about it? The issue is, if you associate yourself so much with the current issue that you have, or the current version of yourself, you're not allowing yourself room to grow. So not only do you need to define what wealth is to you, you can be wealthy in knowledge, you can be wealthy in love and family, whatever it may be. But whatever your most prosperous, beneficial outcome is mentally, I'm sure you can get there. But if you stick to this idea of, no, I'm not economically well off right now, or I don't have a lot of time, or I don't have the energy or the motivation, obviously you're being limited by more than just your mindset. because there are external circumstances that you have no direct control over. But you can have the growth mindset and the willingness to be like, okay, what can I do about it? I don't have a lot of money right now. What can I do about it? Maybe I can create this generational wealth for my family. Maybe I can get a job. Maybe I can study and really put myself through school so I'm the first in my family. And I'm a first generation immigrant. I was born in Cuba, and I definitely had that mindset. You know, I'm lower middle class. I'm thinking, how can I benefit from this? How can I be the first to gain this wealth? How do I even define wealth? Am I going to put myself through school? So I definitely am one of those people that had this thought over and over again where I was like, why am I doing this? You know, is there a reason why it's so late and I'm studying? I don't feel as smart as my friends. I don't feel as, you know, privileged as my peers because I'm not in a position where my parents went to college here or my siblings went to college here. I was the oldest sibling in a family of, you know, nobody that went to school in this country, and I had to figure it out all on my own or with the guidance of those around me who did have parents or family members that went to college here and graduated and got put through school. And I could choose to be somebody that was bitter and jealous and, you know, put other people down. Stop with the excuses that are limiting your potential. Stop saying, you know what, I don't have this money or the desire. I don't have a nice house or a nice desk to study. I don't have all of these books. But the question is, what are you going to do about it? The issue is that a lot of people will go through this slippery slope, like fallacious argument. If I don't do well on this exam, I'm not going to make money. I'm not going to graduate. I'm not going to get the job that I want. I'm not going to be the sole provider for my family. I'm not going to achieve this wealth. Obviously, that can serve as motivation for some people, but if you're a chronic overthinker like me and you're overwhelmed and stressed all the time about being the best version of yourself that you can be and helping those around you in any way that you can see how that can be a very deteriorating mindset to have because it feels like everything is on your shoulders. So even if you're in this, you know, feeling bad for yourself mindset currently and you're having a really hard time pushing forward, just try to remember that it's not all on you. So having a bad grade doesn't mean you're not going to get the career that you want. You just need to push forward and see, what is it that I want? How am I going to get there? And really focus on mindset shifts that are productive and that are going to benefit you in the long run. And overall, just remember that what we put out on the internet and the way that you see YouTubers in general, or these study inspo or study habits, or how to be the most productive you can be, all of these videos are basically me teaching you what I've learned and my trial and error. And hopefully these things will help you. But remember that we're no different. I have a hard time sitting down to study. I have a hard time waking up in the mornings after a long day. I have to also force myself and really reward myself for sitting down for a long time of studying. And I think that it's really important to be transparent, especially when you're on a platform where people are watching you, and making sure that nobody feels like they have to sit down for 12 hours and study. You shouldn't be sitting down exhausted, falling asleep, and studying. So meet yourself where you're at. Like I always say, be very nice to yourself and understand that even though there are people that make these videos and we try to motivate you and give you as many tips and tricks as we can, we're still people. And I have to study right after this and I'm genuinely dreading it. And I need to think about the fact that motivation comes after action. After I start, I might get more into it. So if you guys have been having a hard time studying, getting into studying, or if you've just been having a hard time in general, please comment down below. That way I can feel like people care about my opinion. That's kind of everything that I wanted to share. Like I said, I made 2 videos before. A long time ago, I made a study tips video as a pre-med student, and I also made a how to study when you don't want to video. So this is kind of part 2 of that, but I definitely recommend for you guys to watch the original if you haven't. And yeah, if you guys associate yourselves with any of the points that I made in this video, please let me know down below. And that's everything. I hope you guys enjoyed watching this video. I have to go study. Bye!